Good evening. Happy Sunday, everybody.
Hello.
Welcome back to another episode of TSP, where we give veterans voices, and our main goal is to help stop veteran suicide. As we all know, it's a horrible epidemic going on around there today. But before we get started, I guess we have a couple of announcements. I just want to give a brief intro here to Brian and Danielle. When Andrew and I started this, it'll be 3 years, 4th of July weekend. I asked Andrew if he would join me and start a podcast to document veterans' stories, because we all know obviously once the veteran is gone, so is their story. And there's so many amazing stories out there. And we feel that's very therapeutic for not only the veteran telling their story, but also the veterans out there listening to their stories. There's been so many times that somebody will drop it in my DMs that I've never met in my life and thank me for that story, because they were there at that time and they're having dark thoughts, or they were in a bad place that day and it brought them through it. And so when I started getting these messages, I knew we were on the right course, doing the right thing. Then the podcast started making a little bit of money, and it kind of made me feel dirty. It wasn't my intent to profit off of these stories. So I started a nonprofit. The nonprofit's called Minutes Wisely. And all the money that we make off of this podcast, my other podcast, NBR, which is Sunday morning, for me and my friends talk sports.
The Nosebleed Report.
My book sales. All this supports the nonprofit. Also, we have fundraisers coming up. So what we do at Minutes Wisely, we send veterans, first responders, and Gold Star family members to sporting events. That started about a year ago. We have Detroit Lions season tickets. The reason why I picked Detroit Lions is because that's my hometown, even though I'm here in Nashville now. But I wanted
nemesis of the Bears, yeah.
Yes, sir.
And the Cowboys.
That is true. I think we play both of them this year.
Yeah.
We've been doing that for about a year now, and we've probably sent 22 people, veterans or first responders, to sporting events, starting with the Chicago. We actually sent a couple of guys to Chicago Cubs home opener last year. Every Sunday during NFL season, there's been at least 2 veterans in our seats. Andrew's been to Nashville Predators game. I have a meeting this Thursday with a fellow that loves what we're doing, and that would open us up to tickets, not to both Nashville Predators and Nashville Sounds, and also his logo is wrapped on the Nashville Predators Zamboni, and he said he would love to get involved and have veterans during game day ride the Zamboni.
I know who it is now. Okay, thank you for that hint. Now I know who it is.
I haven't revealed it yet because the meeting's on Thursday. He actually texted me and told me all this stuff, so I know it's legit, but I just don't want to put the cart before the horse. So a lot of great things are coming along. We have a golf outing on 9/11 here in Murfreesboro, Cedar Crest. That should be a good one. Charlie at Single Tree Barbecue is going to put on a benefit concert for us at his restaurant. And okay, I want to talk about this cookbook real quick. So what I did, I took my two favorite things I love, veterans stories and cooking. So if you buy this cookbook for $20, you're going to be supporting our theme, and also you're going to get some amazing quotes. So I took recipes, and next to it, I put quotes. I extracted them right from the podcast. And these quotes some of them are pretty amazing. I'm going to read one real quick. Uh-oh. This was from a Navy lieutenant. He was a fighter pilot. He actually ejected, and as he ejected, his plane hit the sound barrier, and his bare body, like hit the sound barrier. And he was wearing a wetsuit because it was wintertime. His wetsuit completely ripped off. It broke a bunch of bones in his body. It was brutal. And so this is his quote. He says, originally, the doctors and medical staff told me I was never going to walk again. I was never going to use my arms. My flying career was over. And I just kind of got used to my new life as a paralyzed person. And in my mind, I was like, I'm going to prove you all wrong. I don't want to be stuck like this. I'm going to work my ass off to do what I can do to get better. So the doctors told him he would never walk again. Not only did he prove them wrong, he went back into the Navy and checked out and flew his plane again.
Amazing story.
Wow.
This guy lives up in northern Michigan. Like, these stories just give me chills, man. And so when I hear a story like that, man, it just it gives me more drive to do the next episode and get the next story. Because I'll tell you, like on Sunday night, when 7 o'clock rolls around, I'm dragging. I'm like, man, I just want to go to bed. I got to work tomorrow.
Dude, I'm
But then
exhausted.
once the online button goes on and we're live, and the veteran starts telling her story, man, I just get amped up and I can't sleep. I'm like, yeah, and it just gives me that fuel to go on to the next one, man. It is awesome. It's been an awesome ride. I'm super stoked. Andrew does a phenomenal job for me. And
Thanks, man. Appreciate it, Commander.
and also, this is breaking news also. So seeing how I have Detroit Lions season tickets, and I'm here in Nashville, I started making some phone calls. I'm assembling a team for Minutes Wisely in Detroit. So we're going to be stationed here in Nashville and Detroit and have two different teams. Yes.
Shut up.
Yes, swear to God. Yep,
Wow.
I have a bunch of people that are interested. I've already talked to some business owners, and they're behind me up there in Detroit. A couple of my friends own bars. They want to do fundraisers to get it kicked off. So within the next 2 months, I'm going to give myself 2 months. I'll have a team in Michigan.
No way, dude. That's fake. Congratulations.
Yeah, we're just growing, man. Yeah,
Well,
I
so
love doing this.
You
Yes,
you
sir.
double 1 to 2, and then you'll go 2 to 4, and then you'll go 4 to 8. And in 21 days, you're going to have more than you can handle. So
Yeah, well then maybe I
I-
could quit my job and just do
And
this full
Fleek,
time.
I don't know if you can. I don't know if you can handle that, man.
Uh,
You have a hard time getting to meetings.
I have a hard time getting to meetings because I have a lot to do. You know,
I'm just kidding, man.
this is my heart and soul right here.
I know
And,
it is. I'm just messing with you, dude.
The goal would be to so I have all my roots are in Detroit. You know, I'm a veteran of the year up there. I've been with the American Legion VFW for probably 20 years, all up in Detroit. So I know a ton of veterans in Detroit, Michigan. So I could put a stellar team up there and not even have to worry about it. Here you go, take the reins, go entertain veterans, first responders, and Gold Star moms. All on you guys. You know, I don't need to be there. You know, it's not about me. It's about
He's
the veteran. It's
delegating.
about the person in the seat.
Commander, you're delegating, so that's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah. So we're getting there. So that's what I got. Andrew, what do you
That's
have?
Me? We had a really busy last Saturday. We were at the Borough Barbecue Fest. We had a table out there. We teamed up with American Warrior Festival, mentorship and training with Dan Clore, who is also one of our VFW members. He lives in New York. And yep, there you go. Patriot Pride. Always, dude, Mark, you're always putting something out there about Patriot Pride.
I don't know how he's responding right now because he's got a show going on right this
I know.
very second.
And we adopted Louis J. Good he's a good dude too. And we built an obstacle course for our adopted JROTC high school kids who we've adopted our VFW 12206. We adopted them 3 years ago. We support them monetarily with bodies. I gave out awards 2 weeks ago to them for Voice of Democracy and some citizen awards. So yeah, we just had a really long weekend. That's why I'm so tired. And I was actually napping at the Red Cross before I had to take blood today from Murfreesboro to Nashville. I was like this. They had to wake me up. They're like, "Hey, Andrew, you're ready to go." I'm like, "Yeah." It took me like 2 hours, but I do that every Sunday. So if you guys want to do that, if you're out there in La La Land and you want to help out, go to your Red Cross and be a biomedical transport specialist. It's really easy. You don't really need that much training. You take a box, you take it from one place, and you put it in another place.
Yeah, but you have
Then
to
you
deal with
drive
the
home.
Nashville traffic.
Hey, Sunday's easy, man. It took me 25 minutes to get to Charlotte Ave today. 25 minutes. That never happens.
That's a 2-hour drive Monday through Friday.
Usually, yes. That's why I don't do it on Thursdays anymore, because I don't want to deal with that traffic.
That's crazy.
State convention is coming up in June for the VFW, so be there, be square. July is our national convention. We will get to see one of our interviewees become the VFW commander-in-chief of the entire VFW. His name is Al Liphart, Vietnam vet, 2 Purple Hearts, and that guy,
He's in the cookbook too.
he's
in it
got a
couple
crazy
times.
story. He did something and he didn't even remember doing it.
Yeah.
And it was vicious. It was all grunt, man. I was like,
Yeah. He was in a 4-day firefight. He has 0 recollection of it.
None at all.
4 solid days.
But Al is going to be the first combat grunt commander-in-chief that they've had in probably about 10 years. So Al's going to be good. He's from Georgia. Good guy. We're going to have our first woman commander-in-chief the year after. Carol Whitmore from Ohio is the senior vice, and next year she'll be the commander-in-chief.
Not that she's a female. She's from Ohio.
No, because she's from Ohio. No, I'm glad. I mean, the VFW has never had a female commander-in-chief, and she's going to be the first one.
Just joking. I'm from Michigan, so
I
there's a
know.
love-hate relationship.
He hates Ohio. He hates Skyline Chili. He hates Ohio with a passion.
Yeah.
But that's all I've got.
But I'm not from Ohio.
So it's when you're born in Michigan, you're born and raised to hate Ohio, and it's likewise Ohio hates Michigan.
Hey, I'm a Georgia Bulldogs fan, man. Go Georgia.
Yeah. So
Go
it's so bad. The hate is so bad. When I drive back home, I have to drive through the entire state to get to Michigan. I always gas up and eat and spend all my money at the Kentucky border because Ohio doesn't get a nickel of my money.
Wow.
I stop and use the restrooms.
That's deep, and I hope you know where this anger comes from, because if not, I'm scared here.
Danielle's going. She's going therapist on us.
Oh
right
yeah,
now.
yeah. She gonna start analyzing me now.
Hey, she's good, and you know what? Danielle, and I'm gonna take this time, but Danielle and I have known each other for a very long time, like 7 years. Danielle, right?
Yep.
And she was one of my first podcasts that I did with her when she was doing a podcast called Devoted to a Soldier. Her son is a VFW member of our post. She is an auxiliary member of our VFW 12206, one of our first. She and my mom and Katrina, and those were like the first auxiliary people that we ever had.
Yeah.
Then the auxiliary didn't work. Now it's back up. Yeah, now it's back up again, and you're still on the roster, Danielle. So you're good to go.
Don't take it not working. I'm not going to take that as a personal thing. It just
no. It's the people that we had there. It just and the national and the state people, they didn't work together very well. And so now we've got a good guy, Jim Africano. He's the president, and he's probably got about 20 auxiliary members, and he's got 7 businesses in town, and he's a good guy. He knows what he's doing.
The VFW district and state, they're very strict. If you don't do it the right way, they will shut you down.
They will shut you down. You have to read the bylaws, man.
Yeah. You have to do it the right way, man.
If you're going to be a commander, you have to know the bylaws. You have to know section 103. You have to know section 203, 400. And if somebody does something wrong, like steal money, like you guys probably see that every 3 months, there's a quartermaster getting in trouble for, for light fingers, which we have never done. We've never gotten in trouble.
I think they shut down an entire state last year because of that. I forget which state. I don't want to throw states out because I'll probably get it wrong. So
that's true. I see in the news all the time. But we've been around for 3 years, and we've been All-State All-American. We're going to be All-State All-American again. Fleek was actually my commander before I took over for 2 years, and now I'm the district commander of 10 posts, or I will be in July 1st. So that's a preemptive title, but I was elected last Thursday as District 5 commander.
Congratulations.
And Brian, I was just talking to Mitch, and you just spoke to him too, right?
I did. I talked to him right after you did. Yeah.
My Freemason brother, my fellow, our fellow VFW comrade in Texas. He's with the legislation. He does a lot for Texas, and he is even on the board for Grunt Style Foundation that has merged with IW. So all of us here talking, we are all touched by somebody that we know, which is very cool. I think that's awesome.
Small world.
Danielle's done IW hikes. She's been there. She was down in South Florida. They actually have a hike in Portsmouth, New Hampshire coming up. Yeah.
Get out.
I told the guy, we actually had him on the show. His name is Charles Schroeder. And Charles, how are you? If you're out there, I told him our post is going to buy all the Dunkin' Donuts for breakfast.
Dunkin' Donuts is huge up in that area.
I love Dunkin' Donuts. We have one right next to the house. It's awesome.
I think we determined it just started up in like Boston, didn't it?
No. Yeah, actually, I'm gonna check my phone.
I don't know, but I feel like Dunkin' Donuts is on every street corner, as the West Coast has a Starbucks on every street corner, right? It's like the divine, and I don't know. I'm in the middle now, and it's confusing.
You got a lot of mom and pop Dunkin' or donut shops here.
Yeah. I don't see what people like about Starbucks, man. I think it tastes burnt.
Me too. It's so bitter. I can't drink it. I don't like it
at all. I'm not a fan.
Not a fan. We have actually a Starbucks like kind of in a town around here, and it looks so out of place because everything is so mom and pop, like you said, Brian. Like this Starbucks, it just is wrong. I don't think it belongs in here.
Dunkin' Donuts started the first one, Quincy, Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And it's still in operation.
Unlike Blockbuster.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's all the announcements I got.
All right.
Commander.
Do you want to
Sorry, I call him Commander because he was my commander and he will always be my commander. So
yeah, when he does that, everybody thinks I was an officer in the Navy. No, I was a yeoman.
He was a yeoman.
An officer. Let's get that.
And I was
straight
enlisted
right now.
too. So the only officer up in here is that guy in the corner.
I had worked for a bunch of officers.
Yeah, so did I.
I got yelled at by a bunch of officers.
So did I.
So did I.
Probably generals, right, sir?
Later on, yeah.
So,
I retired as a colonel.
Do you want to introduce them there, Andrew?
Yeah, without further ado, this is Danielle Rocco, my good friend, and my new friend, Colonel Brian Searcy. They both live in Texas now, which I forgot when you moved, Danielle. So I still, dude, like 2 weeks ago, I still thought you were in California.
I like to stay on the down low now. Everything is
Katrina was like, yeah, she's in Texas now. I'm like, oh, when did that happen?
Well, Katrina knows all, so.
Yeah, she does. Katrina, you hear that? Yeah, she's sewing right now. She bought a sewing machine from Costco the other day.
You should be doing her homework.
No, she did it. She did it last night. This is weird. Like she's usually doing a paper on, like she's getting her MBA. So she's usually doing paper and responses and all that stuff on Sundays. And now she's downstairs, I think, actually either sewing or eating pizza. I don't know.
Well,
both good choices.
Actually, do you guys want to we'll go Danielle first, and then Brian will get to you, and then you guys can, attack us with Paratus Group.
Yes.
Danielle, go ahead.
All right, so I'm Danielle Rocco. Like Andrew said, I have known him for many, many, many years. We are actually from the same hometown, and that is how we connected. Fun Facebook. Is this one of those things where social media is actually a benefit?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, you're an Exeter. I'm like, I am an Exeter. And my son is Marine. He's part of the VFW now. And so that is how we became friends and have stayed friends and done a lot of things in the nonprofit world. I did, like you said, have a podcast back in the day, devoted to a soldier. I took a hiatus. I went a little MIA, like a little cocoon for a little bit, I think, which is good when you go through a big transition in life. I feel sometimes we don't take time for ourselves and we just keep rolling and things become chaotic and hectic and you lose yourself and sometimes things can happen. So I did a little me time for a couple of years and now I am back. I was introduced to Brian from my boyfriend, my love, my heart, Major Scott Husing. That's how Brian.
Hey, buddy.
He's out on the tractor. He's doing his
Getting
thing.
on the show pretty soon.
Yes. Which actually, full circle of connection is I met Scott through Andrew. So it's even like more connect the dots. Yeah.
What, at the IW, when he was speaking at the IW hike?
Yeah, you told me like,
oh, no way.
That was the first time. Andrew, you said to me, you got a friend request this guy. He's going to be the guest speaker. And I was doing a fundraiser for IW the day before the hike. Yeah. And I was like, okay, sure. I'll friend request him. Never thought any 2 cents about it. Pushed friend request. Didn't look at it again until you introduced us that night. Yeah.
Look at you, Andrew.
Fun story.
I'm a matchmaker, I guess.
You didn't get a check or anything, though, did you?
Yeah.
Make me a check. I don't even know how it goes.
He just gets a big heart here. So, anywho, circling back, that is how I met Brian and his lovely wife, Heather. We became great friends. And then Brian, I will let him go on and talk about what he is going, but it hit me and I was like, you know what? I can be of value. I can be of benefit. I want to help spread the word, especially after I enrolled in the program and realized how ignorant I was to certain things, especially as I've gotten older. Situational awareness, I'm just going to say it out there. I'm going to let Brian fill in all of the dots. And I will come back to have conversation about what I learned and what brought me to be here with him, working with him today. But Brian, take it away. Fill us in on the magic that you have.
Well, thanks. And, it's not magic. It's all because of our Lord and Savior. He's kind of put it on my heart to do this.
Amen.
I retired in 2010, did a bunch of different things. I don't need to go into all that detail.
That's part two, because we'll get you separate to get all your story, sir.
But I founded the Paratus Group, and right before the pandemic, I started really thinking about how I wanted to do this. Over the pandemic, really updated it, really started thinking about what we're doing. I wrote a book. It's up here on the shelf behind me, Prepare for the Real World. The World is Not a Safe Place. It's been out for about 2 years now, and I never envisioned that 2 years later, the world would be as much less safe today than it was 2 years ago. So our mission at Paratus is to left of bang as much as possible to prevent the bad things that are happening in our communities and that are happening to our families and our kids. Prevention is not something people talk about, and that's the only true way we're going to keep our kids safe, and it's the only true way we're going to save our republic. So that's what the program focuses on. It's unique. I don't think anybody else has a program like it. And again, it's not to tell somebody what to do in case something bad happens. It's to empower people to keep bad things from happening. Talking about suicide, I have numerous stories of people that were big time wanting to help the problem with suicide. They went to an hour presentation to learn the indicators. So they started learning about those things, but they were never empowered to actually do something about it. When they took our program, they developed the skills, they knew how to see the indicators, but more importantly, they knew then to take action. They were actually able to interdict a number of people's lives. Got a lot of great stories on that, but that's what I'm focused on now. We're looking to get millions of people enrolled in this program as quickly as possible. If you follow the news, it's getting worse every day. So we've got to do everything that we can to partner or to get parents and families to learn these skills so that they can make sure their kids learn these skills. And like Danielle said, so Danielle has been helping me for the last 3 or 4 weeks. We've known each other for a number of years now. We've done a lot of things socially. But she just made a comment one day and I said, well, maybe you can help me. So that's what she's working on right now. And that turned into an introduction to Andrew, which turned into a membership with the VFW that I'm really looking forward to partnering with the VFW.
You're welcome, Texas. Yeah, Lynn Toomer, I did that, okay, for you guys. Sorry, Brian. Go ahead. Sorry, my bad. I had to put that. I'm having this running, like, there's a guy, the past department commander of South Carolina. He's this amazing guy, and he's already put in like 280 people this year. Tim Borland has put in 545 new members. There was one guy from Montana. He's at like 650. Now he's a recruiting machine, and I don't know how he does it. I was like maybe 139 was my max, and that was like 2 years ago. I can't do that again. I'm at 49. 50 is my cap this year. We're doing like a running bet of like who can get the most. I'm obviously not going to win, but I'm still the most in Tennessee, and that's all I care about. Sorry, Brian.
No, I was wrapping up right there anyway. Absolutely.
Man, but Paratus, now when I first saw that, I was like, damn, is he a Coast Guard guy?
That's the first thing I thought.
Because I was a Latin scholar for 6 years, and Paratus is the Latin terminology for ready or readiness. Semper Paratus, always ready.
And it's also for prepare.
Yep. And prepare.
So, and that's the foundation. That's the first of our 3 P's is prepare. So I took 1 year of Latin, and I don't know how I actually ended up with that, but
Semper ubi sub ubi.
Yep.
Always wear underwear.
Clean underwear. That's
you took 1 year of Latin, Brian?
Right? What in high school, yeah. And I was going to be an attorney at one time.
Nice.
And then that certainly didn't happen. So,
wow, I give you props for that. You're a hockey player. You took Latin. I mean, you're a guy after my own heart, man.
You have all your teeth?
I do.
Oh.
Hockey, lacrosse, football,
I do not.
wrestling, baseball.
I'm missing a tooth. Sorry. Lacrosse, midi, D-back.
I was defense.
You were defense. Big long stick, right?
Yep.
I was never good at lacrosse.
Well, I went to college to play football, and I was a nose guard in high school. The school I was going to was a Division III school, and they used a 5-man line with a very quick nose guard, which is how I played in high school. And after the first year, a new coach came in and went to a 4-man line. Well, I was 5'9" and about 200 pounds, so I wasn't going to compete at tackle in college football. So went and tried out for lacrosse, and had never played, but had a lot of experience playing hockey. So I picked it up pretty quickly and had a blast for 4 years playing lacrosse.
Where did you go to school?
University of Wisconsin at Whitewater.
Wait, that's not the Badgers, right? That's a different.
No, that's the Wisconsin in Madison. So it's one of the state schools.
Wow. Damn.
Nice.
That was a long time ago.
Danielle, you went to Exeter area high school, right? Didn't you go to Exeter high school?
No, but my kids did. All my kids were Exeter, except for Jacob. He was Northampton, and he stayed.
You went to the Northampton school?
He did, because I lived in Northampton, moved to Exeter, but he was in the ROTC, and Exeter didn't have ROTC, so he stayed through high school at Northampton, so he could continue the ROTC till he graduated.
Well, you know the old high school building, right, in Exeter?
Yes, which
it ain't there anymore. They like the junior high, the high school, they've all moved somewhere else. Like it's not there.
They went to the new one. They're in the new bougie, fancy Exeter High School. That's where.
It's Exeter, Phillips Exeter Academy.
Mm-hmm.
I did get in. I chose not to go to Phillips Exeter Academy. It was too many people, too many kids. 1,000 was too many, so I chose Brooks. Smaller school in North Andover, only 360 kids, 92 in my class. It was perfect. Exeter was way too big for me.
I know that.
Great
Did you
to know.
know that my daughter applied to Brooks? She was going to go private, and then
Shut up.
yeah, she decided after like going through the whole process and all the applications and all the interviews and all the acceptance letters, everything. We traveled all over that she just wanted to go to public high school after that. I was like,
Well, you saved a shit ton of money because
Yeah.
Brooks is $77,000 a
Yeah.
year. So you
yeah,
What? To go to high
did good.
school?
Yeah, a high school. Now, when I
Holy
went,
moly.
it was way cheaper. It was like $50,000 cheaper, but now they're like,
They're up
Even
there.
that's
now
a
they're
lot of
big
money.
time. Like all the schools up
Mhm.
there, like St. Mark's, Groton, Choate Rosemary Hall, Phillips Exeter, Phillips Andover. They're all like $70,000, $80,000 a year. It's crazy.
No. Which is funny talking about. So, like, all my kids are out of the house now. They all live on their own. And they're all alive. I did it because I was like, I don't know. I can't even keep a house plant alive back then. How am I going to keep humans alive and have them be good? I don't know. Scary. But it's funny, which I'm going to circle back to what I'm doing with Brian a little bit, because it's funny how your mindset changes. And maybe it's because I'm a woman. You guys can come in. You're all men here. But when I had them and I was raising them, I was so vigilant. I knew everything that was going on. I knew where they were. I had game plans for each of them of how to protect themselves, how to get out of things, like all of this. They get up, they go out on their own, and I become maybe complacent. I love that word, Andrew. Maybe I'm complacent,
Complacency
but
kills.
yeah, I realized once I took Brian's thing, I'm like, oh my gosh, anything could go on around me and I would be clueless. It was like my job was done once I got them out of the house and they're successful and on their own and healthy and happy and doing their thing. I totally stopped paying attention to what the world was or what was going on around me. And I said to Brian, I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble here. Like I was probably one of those people that had their head in their phone working, especially I work remote now. So I'm working as I'm doing X, Y, and Z. Anybody could have done anything and I would have been clueless. And I don't know, is that a woman thing? Is it
No.
a human thing?
I was just going to.
Is it just we don't practice it? We don't think about it. We get in our own world, and you got to get snapped out of that.
Well, it took us 30 years to get here. And basically, parents abdicated the responsibility to teach their kids these skills. That's where I learned it from my parents. My parents let me make mistakes and learn and develop these skills. But parents today, like I said, they've abdicated that responsibility to the schools, and the schools don't do it. So our kids are just not getting this anywhere. And it would be easy. And a number of my peers, people my age, were complaining about millennials and Generation Z. And I really did a lot of research as I was building the foundation for Paratus and our program, and realized that it's not that they can't do this. It's just that nobody has showed them how to do this. And their parents don't have these skills. So if their parents don't have these skills, they can't teach the skills to their kids. So it was just a huge problem. So we're not going to work ourselves out of this problem overnight. It's going to take 10 years to get there. Hopefully it won't take that long to make some changes and make our republic the way it should be. But that's the foundation of what the Paratus is all about. And it was funny. So I went out to lunch with Heather after church this morning, Danielle and y'all. And I do pay attention. And one of the things that I do as part of the process that we have, the Paratus process, is I not only think about what I would do in a situation, but I look around to see if other people are paying attention, if there's other people there that could help me potentially if something's going to happen. And that could be, a dozen different things. And every other male in the restaurant with their family were sitting with their back to the door. That was one of those things that always disappoints me, that's what's going on
Yeah.
in our communities today. We just need to get a program so people learn and develop the habits and behaviors so we can make a change.
I agree, man. Complacency. I mean, it was written on the Jersey barrier coming in and coming out of Camp Ramadi or Camp Fallujah. Complacency kills. If you let your guard down, you might not be ready for whatever's coming your way.
Yeah, that and the normalcy bias is a huge problem as well. People think they're
What's
not.
What's the normalcy bias?
So
Can you explain that?
People can 70 to 75% of people will look at a threat that's coming right at them, and they don't believe it's going to happen to them. They never believe it's going to happen to them because they don't have a foundation of being prepared. So because they don't think it's going to happen to them, they rationalize it away and they don't do anything. There are people that'll just stare and take pictures of a tornado that's coming right at them because they're mesmerized by it. They've never thought about what to do. And again, they rationalize that this can't be happening to me. So they don't do anything.
Okay, I have a story. I still need the program because I got bees. Let me tell you. I'm still working on it. So I have bees. I did my whole class because I'm like, if I'm going to have a beehive, I don't want to kill these things. I need to be educated. So I went and I took a whole day's class, and I've YouTube and I've read books. I've done all of this. This will circle back to what we're talking about. So we get the bees. Now, Scott is like, babe, this is all you. I will listen to your bee stories, but I want nothing to do with it. I don't want to get stung. This is not my jam. I will take the honey and I will help you in any way, but I don't want to be involved. Well, he had to help me get the hive. We got the hive, and the entrance is they staple it shut, So we take the hive and we put it there. Now, these bees are PO'd because they just drove 2 hours in the back of a pickup truck, and then they were on a dolly going through 10 acres of the ranch to the corner, and you can just hear them. They're mad. I did all this preparation, all this classes, all this reading, everything. And so he's there, he's helping me because I couldn't get the staples out and whatever. And our old 14-year-old dog, who does not venture 10 feet off of our, the porch area, decides to follow us out there, unbeknownst to us, because it's dark now. It's nighttime. We're doing this in the dark. And I even have the blood light for his hunting on because they don't like white flashlights. But if you have a red light, they don't notice it and it's not going to make them angry. Okay, so here we are. We get everything out, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take the crate out because we have it, stapled in. I'm going to take it out and we're just going to take off because we didn't have the smoke or anything to calm them down. So we do it. I'm like, one, fend for yourself, run. Our poor dog, we find out, has followed us and is sniffing all around it. I'm like, Portia, come on, let's go. And she's rolling around now because she's getting stung. What do? I leave. I'm like, I don't know what to do. I panic. I'm like, I'm out of here. And there's Scott. He's like, goes into the fire, gets the dog, comes all out and saves it. So the point of that story is no matter how much preparation I did, I hadn't practiced like any of it yet. And so I failed. I ran and I left Scott and the dog to fend for themselves.
Is Portia okay?
Good on you, Scott,
yes.
For doing that. Anyone who's been to Ramadi will definitely go in and save the dog because Ramadi was 10 times worse than 100,000 bee stings. I can speak from experience.
True. Yeah. Dog's okay. Scott's fine. I got stung. But needless to say, preparation and practice. Practice is it. You can prepare all you want, but if you are not practicing every day, you will do what is natural. And apparently mine is to run and leave all my loved ones behind.
It's a lesson learned, Danielle. Lesson learned.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, you're awful. You need better training.
Well, Brian, that brings us to the 3 Ps. What are those again? You told me before, but
yeah. So the 3 Ps are: first, you have to be prepared. Then it's to prevent. And then that's how you're empowered to protect. So a major portion of our program is developing that first P, and it's the prepared piece, and it's so that you can then prevent bad things from happening. When I started kind of in this area, it was about right after the Parkland shooting, and I started doing active shooter training in schools. And we would go in and do about an hour and a half with the teachers, and then we would do an hour or so of scenarios. And I quickly realized that we're doing our teachers a disservice by doing that, because they don't know how to be perceptive. They don't know how to think critically. They don't know how to analyze the situation. They don't know how to make decisions. If all you do is give them a 1 hour class and then do a couple scenarios. And then, oh, by the way, we'd be telling them this is what you should do in this situation. And they weren't capable of doing that. They didn't have the actual ability to do that. So I then developed, which was the foundation of the Paratus 3P program, which we taught them situational awareness so that they learned how to analyze situations so they could make decisions. I'm the run, hide, fight program. If you've ever heard of that in schools, I think as a protocol, it's great, but as a standalone, it's terrible, because there's no way for them to know if they should run, hide, or fight. They don't know how to analyze the situation. Kind of like what Danielle just went through, the fight or flight. She didn't know what to do, so she went right to the flight.
And she took off.
And she took off, right? So, and the other thing that is important in all of the training that is out there for all of the threats that we do on a regular basis, and a lot of it is led by our government, is we do what's traditional training. Right? Have any of you ever gone to a suicide prevention training? Probably most people here might have, or how to stop human trafficking, or a lot of the things that you get in a number of areas. Well, a lot of people go to those things to support those nonprofits because they're passionate about it, or they know somebody in their family that was, or a close proximity of a friend that was assaulted or attempted suicide or was potentially human trafficked. Well, if you go to a 1 hour class, within a week, you'll forget 97% of what was in that class, number one. And number two, you're not empowered to do anything. I learned in the military flying airplanes that it takes practice, it takes investment, and you have to then feed into what is called your lizard brain. It's the part of your brain you go to under stress, because you don't rise to an occasion, you fall to the level of your preparation. So that's why we would practice boldface. We would practice all the types of emergencies. We would practice what we would do when we came into contact with the enemy, so that when that happened, we then could analyze the situation, know what to do, and then make the right decisions. So that's a big foundation of what our program is all about. And so traditional training doesn't work. Human trafficking is growing by 1,400% every single year, year after year. But January is the Human Trafficking Awareness Month. It's not solving the problem. We have a suicide awareness month, yet suicide rates are raising anywhere between 19 and 27%, depending on what age demographic you're talking about. Carjackings are on the rise. Bullying is on the rise. There's so many things that are getting worse. And it's because we don't empower people with the tools to be able to identify the indicators, but then, like I said, actually take action. And that's what the Paratus process is all about. And that's what drives the 3P. So circling back to the active shooter, you'd go in and try and tell somebody what to do. Well, the situation that's actually going to happen is not going to be the one we practice. And so if it's not the one we practice, we're really not setting them up for success. So we prepare people, and then we help them figure out what they are capable of doing. And then if they want to learn how to do more, then we can point them in the right direction to get that training. Yeah. So we're all about developing habits, behaviors, and a mindset by practicing the process. It takes 90 days to create new behaviors. So that's why our program, the beginning of our program, is 90 days long. And then it goes on for the remaining 9 months, like Danielle talked about, so that you don't get complacent. So you further build those habits and behaviors so that it's something that you just practice on a regular basis. Quite frankly, it's just something that you do automatically and you don't even think about it.
Mm.
Hey, Brian, are these the classes? So do you own like a school where you teach people this?
So I travel around the country and I speak on this, but my vision, and this is one of the things Danielle is helping me with, is we need to get to tens of millions of people to take this program. It's in a learning management system. So the way it works is you enroll in the Paratus 3P program, and we have a number of, what we're doing is partnering with organizations where then they introduce us to their donor base or to their clients, absolutely. And I've already got it written for the VFW, so it's coming your way. Danielle said for me to email it to you as soon as we're done here.
Oh,
and
I want you up in Murfreesboro like ASAP, like teaching. I mean, as district commander, you can come to a district meeting and you can reach 1,700 people just in one meeting. I
Yeah,
mean, I
so
think that would be pretty cool.
yeah, so Paratus is a for-profit company. So the program when we started out was $299. We're discounting it now with these partnerships to $79 or $799 a month for 12 months. Andrew there was the nonprofit one I sent to him. They actually bought down the program. But then we give, in that case, they were going to get $20 for every enrollment for the nonprofit, but they chose to take that $20 and buy it down for everybody in their nonprofit so that they can enroll in the program. So, Richard, with your nonprofit and the VFW, $20 goes back to the missions that you guys are doing. So we're not only making parents and kids safe. And oh, by the way, the more parents and kids and families that become safe, that's how we are actually going to make our communities safe. People today are afraid to do things to make their community safe because they're not prepared. They haven't thought through what they can do and how they can do something. They may have great intentions. They might have great empathy and want to help, but if they're not prepared to help and they haven't thought through the actions to take, that's why they don't act. We believe at the Paratus Group, the more families in communities that develop this skill, that is how then they will collectively take back the responsibility. Our emergency responders are overwhelmed. It's not that law enforcement and fire and EMTs don't want to do the job or don't do a great job and don't risk their lives every day, but there are not enough of them. There hasn't been enough of them for a long time. And like I mentioned when I talked about my book, it's getting worse every single day. And it's only going to get worse again. The FBI director has said twice now that there's red lights blinking all over the place for some type of physical event in the United States. And my biggest fear, it's going to be a concerted effort in numerous locations across the United States. And then he just testified last week that the Chinese are prepared to wreak physical havoc in the United States via cyber attacks. Our populace is not prepared for any of this. There are a couple of fictional books that talk about these types of things happening. Is all you have to do is knock out the power for 3 days. That's all it will take. That's all it will take. 3 days. And if there's nobody has any hope that it's going to come back, our country and our republic and our laws will disintegrate. So we need to do everything that we can to get as many people enrolled in a program that teaches these skills, but even more than teaches it, that allows people to learn and develop these skills. And that's what I'm focused on. And I've taken a lot of my military background and leadership and training and have poured it into this. Danielle is helping me tweak the videos to make them even better. So I'm excited about what's coming up. We don't have a lot of time, unfortunately. So the more people we partner with and get this out there, the more people that start to be prepared, that's how we're going to make a difference.
Well, Brian, I'm thinking of like 10 names already in my head that I can give you because I have their numbers, I have their emails. Director of operations for the VFW, I could probably give that information to you. He's a good guy. He's Army. Don't hold that against him. Just kidding, Lynn. Sorry, buddy. But no, I'd love for you to talk to him or the Assistant Adjutant General of the VFW. He was our past state commander. He's doing a hell of a job in Missouri. Danielle, you know Brian Walker very well, don't you?
I do. Great man.
Yeah, and he is killing it in the VFW. He is the Assistant Adjutant General, and he is just, I mean, we just teamed up with John Rich to do like a huge give back to veterans. It's on our VFW.org site. Brian, you probably checked it out. You've probably seen a big picture of Mr. Rich, who I've known him for 5 years. I love John. He's a good dude.
Well, and that's why, I'm blessed to know Danielle, who introduced me to you, that now I'm on the podcast with you, Richard and Danielle. That is God's hand to make these things happen. I had a conversation with the post commander, and then I talked to Mitch, and
oh, good.
It's not just what the VFW those initial connections, but talking to the mayor, talking to the sheriff, get everybody together now behind this program. So we now take that holistic approach to go out to the community to educate them on what's going on. One of the biggest things that I talk about in our program is that you can't prevent bad things from happening if you don't know what the bad things are. And that's what happens in most of our communities today, is that people go about their lives. They don't want to know what's going on. And we've got to turn that around, and people need to become aware of all of these threats, become prepared. And that's how we're going to make it. So it takes everybody coming together to want to solve this problem. And that's just in the last week, one of the things that I'm so excited about, and your passion and Danielle's passion. I think the VFW is going to be an amazing opportunity to get the word out there. And it ties so perfectly in with the community involvement that you guys are doing. And we can get junior ROTC involved. And I love, I spent about an hour and a half's worth of time after talking to Tim and Mitch researching what the VFW does and what you give back. So that's why I'm excited about that, the opportunity to raise money for those efforts.
And I'm still learning new stuff that the VFW does. Like every day, they have so many programs out there, and this is right up to our wheelhouse. I swear. I mean, the VFW. I thought this in my head. I was like, I went to this thing for church there, the Bishop of Tennessee, and it was stewardship generosity. And I'm like, well, stewardship, like that's what we do in church. But you know what? The VFW, you take out St. Paul's Church and you put VFW, you can use this whole PowerPoint for buddy checks, talking to people. Hey, how are you doing? Are you still interested in the VFW? Just like saying that for a church. Hey, like I've had to call 32 people in my congregation in the past week just to check on them. And because we're getting ready for, asking for money, which a lot of people hate to do. Especially when I first started doing all this stuff, I hated asking for money. And now I'm sort of getting good at it, I guess. I still need some work.
Well, that's one of the reasons Danielle's helping me, because I don't do a good job asking for money.
She's good at asking for money. She's real good at asking for Just kidding, Danielle.
If it's for a good cause, I'm all in.
No,
I'm like,
hey, listen, you are like the good cause fairy. Like you come and you make good things happen. Like with IW, you made great things happen. Devoted to a Soldier, you made great things happen. You talk to so many people. I mean, I still on my Facebook, I still get like, oh, you remember doing this with Danielle? It was me and Sarah Lee and Malachias. You had all these guys on your podcast and spreading the love, like what me and Fleek are doing now. I mean, we just took, we took an idea and we're like, okay, let's roll with it. Like we didn't know what we were doing. Me and Fleek were doing this at his house when we first started this thing, and now I'm at my house, and now Danielle, you're at your house. Brian, you're at your house, and Fleek, you're at your house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's changed a lot.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what I know we're kind of probably going to wrap up here, but what I love is that you take the course, right? And you're getting aware of these things. And okay, Scott probably doesn't need this as much as I need it, right? Maybe the members of the VFW, don't need it as much as their wife, their children, their sister, their cousin. You guys are trained in this for X amount of years, right? So you always need to have the refresher, and it's good for you too.
Yeah.
But what about everybody else in your life? That's kind of where my passion is, that all those other people, the tendrils, and I even think of it now after I've gone through it. To my kids, they're adults. Yeah, they learned from me, watching me when I actually knew and cared and paid attention because they were little, and that was my whole job. It's keeping them alive. But those circumstances don't pertain to them anymore. They're not going to, high school situations. They're adults now. And so I'm like, they need this course because they need to prevent in their stage of life that they're in now. It's changed. You know, every couple years, life changes, the environment changes, you grow up, you know, so it's one of those things that I think you do and you redo and then you give and you, because everybody's in a different stage and understanding of it.
You just sparked an idea in my head, Danielle, by saying that, because the auxiliary, they were not trained. They are regular civilians. And
Yeah.
I mean, Fleek, myself, and Brian, we were all trained for like the worst. And I've got PTSD, so my hypervigilance is always like up here. I mean, I'm trying to get it like here, but I mean, 5 years ago when you met me, or 7 years ago, I was up here. Like I was like, I didn't trust anybody. Andrew's not shy. No, not anymore.
Not anymore. You were never shy.
Shy wasn't the issue.
But I stopped drinking. I went to Save a Warrior. I did all this stuff like Outward Bound for Veterans. Like it all came, and then IW really, really helped me. But like, I mean, Brian's your group, the Paratus Group, it can help so many people, and the VFW and the American Legion and all these groups, they have families, and those families have families, and it's word of mouth. And it's just like, you come to any of these conventions, like if you come to Louisville, God help you, sir, you will be tired after a week. That's July 27th to August 4th, and you'll be talking to 10,000 veterans. So you better be coming to national convention. I got a hotel already. I already got my hotel, so you're staying with me if you want.
Well, I've got June on my calendar already because Tim and Mitch made sure I got that on there. But I will get July on my calendar as well.
Okay, good. Now I'll send you a link. You don't have to pay for a hotel. I've already got a room for like 4 to myself.
I have like a million questions, man. So I feel like we probably need a part 2 and a 3.
We do need a part 2. You haven't,
Ask a few. Go ahead, Richard.
Yeah, we got some time, right?
How do you take how does one take the program? What's the process?
So you enroll in our learning management system. So we have a learning management system, and the way the program works, just real quick, is the first week there's videos Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. They're about 15 minutes long. We teach and empower what is situational awareness, because most people don't have a clue. What are all the threats that you face in your communities today? What are the 10 critical personal skills that you need to be able to have situational awareness? And, oh, by the way, to be successful in life. We talk about how you actually have to learn and develop the habits and the behaviors. And then on Friday, that all gets tied together. Then starting in week 2, there's content Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And that is a 3 to 4 minute video, because we use micro relearning. Is all we want to do is reinforce the learning and development of this skill and the practicing of the process, which is introduced in the first week as well. Then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, emails go out that are real world emails that are maybe from a day prior, where we're tying together the threat that we're facing and how practicing your process can prevent that from happening, how you can keep yourself, your kids, your community from being victims in the first place. That goes on for 11 more weeks. So that's the end of the 90 days. And then for the remaining 9 months, they get content on Tuesdays and Thursdays, where we are still reminding them of the threats that are going on, how you practice your process, how you keep your kids from being victims. And the thing that's a couple of things that are unique about the program is our program uses the micro relearning. It uses drip content, so you can't sit down and do all 160 minutes at one time. That defeats the purpose. So our content is released at specific times. You get reminded of it. So you go in and you reinforce the learning. And then, like I said, it goes on for 90 days. So everybody else just predominantly does. Oh, the other thing that is unique about our program is we talk about all of the threats. There are some people out there that do some great stuff against human trafficking and against suicide, but we want to empower people to be able to stop all the things that are happening. So we talk about all the threats and the scary thing. And I talked about the book and what's going on in our communities. But Danielle, I know you took the initial survey. Question number 5 asks, have you or your immediate family and friends been exposed to rape, suicide, bullying, drugs, human trafficking, sexual harassment, sexual assault, carjacking. 92% of the people that have taken our program have said at least one of those has been somewhere in their immediate sphere. Just 4 days ago, a dear friend of mine that lives, a disabled veteran who lives down in the Houston area, his daughter was found dead in the morning. So we're working to help him and help his family.
Sorry to hear that.
His wife and his two other kids. And I wrote content specifically for that as parents, we can do everything right. You can have great situation awareness. You can make sure your kids have great situation awareness. Right. But sometimes there's nothing that you can do. But it's those times when you can do something that we need to be prepared. One of the biggest things that I hear from parents whose kids have been involved in bullying or suicide or human trafficking or have been raped or assaulted, regret is one of the things that they have, because there were almost every single time indicators.
Right.
And sometimes they saw them, but even when they see them, they think it's not, my kid wouldn't do that. They don't believe it. That goes back to that normalcy bias. Yeah. But more importantly, they haven't thought about what actions to take, so they don't do anything.
I have a real world situation. This is literally not a hypothetical. This actually just happened, and it's been all over the news. So I want to get your perspective on this. Down at the Donald Trump case, a man from Florida shows up at the doorstep. There's thousands of people there on the doorsteps. This dude douses himself with some kind of accelerant, lights himself on fire. But then the news team goes back to his hometown and interviews his neighbors, and all the neighbors are like, yeah, he told us he was going down there. He's going to be a martyr. He's going to martyr it. But nobody did anything. Like, what would, like, somebody in your shoes, what would you do if your neighbor's like, yeah, I'm going to be a martyr, and then this happens?
Well, so there's a lot of different things that you can do. And one of the things that's important that I kind of alluded to it in our program is I say this every presentation. I don't like to ever be called an expert, because I want to make sure everybody knows that I'm consistently and constantly learning new ways to talk about this. In this situation, it's actually taking action and doing something. And it depends on how old that person was that saw it. So if it's another teenager, they should tell their parents, and then maybe that's what happened, but then the parents didn't know what to do. The other thing that's missing in our society today, and I talked about those 10 critical skills, only 6% of kids coming out of college know what these skills are, much less practice them. And it's been that way for the last 20 years. So if they can't think critically, if they don't know how to communicate, if they don't have empathy and humility, the chances of them actually doing something to help somebody else is very, very, very low. But when we prepare people and we empower them to learn and develop these skills and then be willing to do things, that's then how we get them to actually do something. I talk about all the time, and oftentimes it's the little things. You start with those little things. So I carry jumper cables everywhere I go in my truck. And I can't tell you how many times in the course of a year, because I don't count, because it's too many to count, times that I've been in a parking lot somewhere or the side of the road and somebody's car wouldn't start. And I was able to take a little bit of time out of my day, jump their vehicle so they didn't have to wait for a tow truck or their parents to come. And then they could get on their way. And of course, then they still had to deal with whatever the problem was. But I was prepared with the tools. I knew how to use the tools. But more importantly, I cared about other people, and I actually did something about it. And that's what we try to empower with our program, is that you learn and develop those skills when you're prepared and you understand what empathy, that's how you're going to be much more likely to do something. So Richard, because of this thing right here, people don't know what to do anymore. People see a fight, people see something going on, they'll take this out and they'll record it instead of doing something to try and help prevent or stop whatever is happening from happening.
Yeah, so true.
Walking into the DFW airport, I travel quite a bit, and like most airports, it's got the outer doors, and then there's a an area, and then they've got the inner doors, and they do that for weather, not for security. Well, if you've ever been in an airport, about every 5 minutes you hear a recording, do not leave your bags unattended, right?
Yeah.
So I walk in the outer doors, and there's 4 bags along the side there. Nobody's there. Nobody's there at the bags. I look around. I don't see anybody. I walk back outside to see if maybe the owner of the bags is smoking or something outside the airport. No, I walk in the inner doors, and there's a security person standing right there. And I walked up to her and I said, "Do you know whose bags those are?" And she goes, "What bags?"
Oh my God.
So the security guard didn't even notice it, wasn't even aware of it. But there must have been at least 30 other people that walked by those bags that paid no attention to those bags. And it's because people they may have actually seen them. Some of them might have actually said, "I wonder why those bags are there." But then they weren't prepared to say or do anything about it. And so in that case, I told the security person. So to circle back around in that situation and it's just like if you've ever had training to try and prevent suicide, anytime somebody says one of the indicators of suicide, you have to take it like they're going to commit suicide is in the next minute or two.
Right.
And you have to intervene. You have to be willing to put yourself out there to do something. So when people are prepared, that's when they call to the point. You call the FBI hotline. If you think something like that's going to happen, you call, the local police. You try to find that person, have a conversation with them if they're a friend of yours. But people today, they're not empowered to actually act. And that's what we need to change.
Yeah, I think that goes back in the history of this country, though, because two of the two dates in American history, there's been indicators. December 7th, 1941, there was major indicators. 9/11, 2001, there was major indicators, and nobody said anything or did anything. And those 2 very significant days, and here I am, 58 years old. I know exactly what happened December 7th, 1941. I wasn't even born yet, but it affected not only myself, but it affected every single person on the planet, not just this country. Now that could have been prevented if somebody would just did exactly what you're saying.
And you got to add Benghazi too. That could have been prevented too, but
Yeah,
it happened.
Well, yeah, unfortunately, you can look back at history and see all of these failures. And, you said not to talk politics, so I'm not going to talk politics. But it's both, I am not a fan of anybody that ever says, what Ronald Reagan says, his famous 9 words, "I'm from the government and I'm here to help," right?
exactly. Yeah.
I'm a firm believer, and this is why I'm so passionate about our program, is the way we're going to protect our families, we're going to protect our kids from all of these threats that are out there, is by empowering them with the tools and by all of us collectively working together. And then by us from the bottom up, making sure that the people that we do elect into the positions in our school boards and our local governments and our state governments and our national government all learn and develop those skills. We need people that are problem solvers. The United States government and our state and local governments were never designed to have professional politicians, but that is what has happened over the last 30 years. And that's my opinion.
Yes,
we
definitely
need
my
to be,
opinion.
we need to be led by the people. We need to empower the people, and make sure that the people elect those people that are not just going to push things around so that those problems hang around. We need to solve problems. We have some good there are some good leaders in Washington, but most of the people in Washington are politicians.
Yeah.
And I think we can probably say the same thing at most of our local governments.
Correct. Yeah.
God
We need
bless you,
somebody.
man.
We need some.
Damn.
We need a leader that's not going to need help walking off a stage.
Hey,
also.
Fleek, that might have to go in the cookbook, man. That's
That's-
bringing a tear to my eye right now.
Yeah.
Brian, you should run for office, man.
Well,
You're very passionate. I love it.
if I thought that the people that are in elected offices actually can solve problems, then I might think of doing that. But I truly believe, and with the help of the folks here and other folks, we can get everyday Americans empowered with these skills, with the empathy and the 10 critical skills to want to make sure our republic stays the best place to live on the planet. And be proud of the United States, and to stand up and be proud of the United States. That's how we're going to make a difference. I heard the actor who plays Jesus in Chosen.
Oh yeah.
He talks about how Jesus was a warrior, and I don't think people really understand that.
I do. I was saying that in my sermon.
So he wasn't a warrior in how most people think about it, but he was very, very proud of what he did. He said what he meant, and he stood behind it, and his actions lived up to that. That's what we need people to do. We don't need people that are going to, go fight somebody on the street. We need 10 people that are going to get together and go, or 1,000 people, 10,000 people to their state legislatures, to the local school boards, and show them that we're not going to stand for this anymore. And we need problems solved.
Amen, brother. Damn.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah, there's definitely going to be a part 2 because we didn't even scratch the surface tonight.
Yeah,
but
I think
Fleek, I did send you paratusgroup.org.
All right, I'll check it out.
If you want to, to your Facebook Messenger.
And it's actually just paratus.group.
Sorry.
Paratus.group.
I looked it up.
That's okay. Yep.
Sorry, my bad.
Yeah, I think there should be like a part 3 or 4 because I want to finish. I want to hear the rest of Paratus' story. I want to hear Brian's story, what he did in the military, and I also want to talk to Danielle about Devoted to a Soldier and all of her workings that she's done over the years. Because I've been following you on social media. You kind of went dark there for a while, but you've been doing before you went dark. You were doing some amazing things that were very inspiring. So I would love to get back to find out, pick your brain about that kind of stuff. And
but
is
Danielle,
Devoted to a Soldier coming back?
What? I didn't hear it. I didn't hear that last part.
I said, and is Devoted to a Soldier going to make a comeback?
Oh.
Well, Danielle, you said something very poignant tonight in your beginning, where people, all this chaos in life and everything like that, and you need to lie down. Well, guess what? They went over Psalm 23 today. Today is Good Shepherd Sunday, and the Good Shepherd always knows who he's talking to, knows everybody, knows all his sheep, knows them by name. And you know what? There's a funny thing that I found out about sheep today. Sheep have to lie down when all their stomachs are full. They have to lie down and chew on their cud so they can properly digest the grass that is in their stomach. So the sheep, us, we have to lie down from time to time so we can digest all of this chaos and this busyness that's called life.
Mm-hmm.
Take a moment and maybe look around, like using Brian's Paratus Group. Look around, maybe kind of take in what's going on in this world. And we haven't done that yet. And we're supposed to, but we haven't.
No, pride. I think pride's a big reason why we don't, we have this somehow along the way. It was okay to be like, the more I do, the more I'm known for, or what I portray I'm known for, that's my worth. But it's not.
It's not.
All that.
Not at all.
And
that's very stoic. That's a stoic ideal right there. I love it, Danielle. That's awesome.
Yeah. And so when we each know inside us is not right, being able to walk away from everything that everybody knows about you and close your ears to it, really, and not be curious or not defend or anything like that. That's when the growth happens. And I think, again, it's prevention. It's prevention of where or who I would have become if I never did that. It's prevention of, of different societies, but we have to be prepared and aware. And if we are not in our soul prepared and have value, I guess, in ourselves, how can we have empathy? How can we do any of these other things? We can't.
You hit the nail on the head right there.
Yeah. I love that. That's exactly what I'm talking about. We need Danielle on for our whole hour.
Yeah, no, we'll get her. I'll send her another calendar.
Also, you mentioned Ronald Reagan. I just want to say, I'm going to throw my age out there. Ronald Reagan was my commander in chief, and I was very proud to serve under that administration, man. It was awesome. I love that.
I think I was 3 when he was president. So he was not my commander in chief, but he was our president.
Hey, as a matter of fact, he's the one that made me go up to the Bering Sea and chase Russians, as Andrew likes to call it.
Dude, hey, do you have your patch? Did you bring it for the show? I want to see it.
1 second.
Yeah, go get it, man.
I'm gonna
That's
go
history.
turn my.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
It's just us now. Yeah.
It's just us now.
It got dark. We were on so long.
I
I'm like, I have no
know.
light.
All right, so the story is we were on Westpac. So I was in the Navy. I was on an aircraft carrier. The same aircraft carrier Top Gun was filmed on. Two of my friends made the cut. They were in the movie. We were there when they filmed that movie. But we were on our way back
He
from
loves
Westpac.
talking about this shit, by the way.
Yes, I do love it. So we were on our way back from Westpac. Our last port was Perth, Australia. So we're on our way back from a 7-month cruise. And we were supposed to land back in Alameda, California on the end of January. And we did not. Next thing we know, we made a left. And all this cold weather gear started flying on, and all these medications for the flu and all these, just pallets and pallets of clothing and all this stuff for cold weather. And I'm thinking, what the hell is going on, man? We're going to California. Why do we need all this cold weather gear? Yeah, the news broke. The skipper came on the bitch box, and he said, "Yeah, by the way, we're not going back home. We're extending the cruise." And we're headed up to the Bering Straits. So it was January in the Bering Straits, which is, for people that don't know their geography, Alaska comes out this way, Russia comes out this way. There's a bunch of islands. We sailed up there. Not only did we sail up there, we launched and recovered aircraft just to prove to the Russians, don't fuck with us, because we're going to go wherever we want, whenever we want. And this is what we got out of it.
What year was that, Richard?
1986.
Okay.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Were you in the service at that time, Brian?
So I graduated in 84. I worked for 3.5 years and then went into the Air Force in 87 and went to nav school. So in 89, I was flying AWACS, and we chased a lot of Bear bombers from AWACS. We would fly.
I can't wait for his. For his story.
4 to 6 weeks deployments to Iceland, and we would sit alert in Iceland and launch when the bears started coming down through the Bering Straits, and we would pick them up northwest of England, and then we would follow them all the way back to the United States, so that we knew where they were. That was before we had better radars. Yeah,
we even painted the tail insignias on some of the planes to confuse the Russians. Yeah, it was a great story. It was a great time. We froze our ass off. And they put the word out right away. Like, if anybody was to go overboard in the freezing sea, your life expectancy was about 3 seconds. So stay away from the edge.
Yep.
I have pictures of snowmen on the aircraft carrier. Big old snowmen on the aircraft carrier.
Yeah, I haven't even seen those, man. I want to see those.
Yeah. So when we get the Colonel back on, I'll break out my photos of my bears. So every time we intercepted a bear, the F-14s had cameras under their nose. Mm-hmm. So I have a bunch of photos of. I worked for I was the air boss's yeoman, so I had access to all this stuff. So I may have taken some home.
Well, guys, it's an hour 20. I know you guys got your lives, and I had church today. I know Brian went to church. I know Danielle, did you go to church today?
I did not go to church. I did. Yeah, no.
It's okay. I prayed for you, and I prayed for you too, Flea, because you.
I have my time with Jesus every single morning. I do my. Yes. But I did not go today.
That's okay. I didn't mean to put you on the spot.
That's all right.
Thanks, Paul. Hey, Paul is another pilot.
No, he's not a pilot. Well, he is a pilot, but not in the military.
Not in the military, but he. Yeah.
Paul is a retired chief. He was actually with me for this.
Bering Sea Bandits. Yep.
Yes, sir.
But we definitely need to schedule a number
Yeah.
2 interview, and number 3 with Brian, and number 4 with Danielle.
Absolutely. The next 3 weekends are booked now.
Yeah, they are. Well, we got one for next Sunday, but then after that, I mean, I don't mind doing lives again, man. I know we were recording,
I
but
enjoy live. But like I said before the show even started, man, like before the show started, I was laying on my couch watching TV. I was a lazy lump of you know what, and I was like, man, we got a podcast. But then I said, once the story gets going, I get fired up. Like I'm ready to run through a wall right now.
it's the national anthem. It just pumps us up. That's it.
Yeah, I love this, man.
But Danielle, Brian, thank you guys so much for coming. And actually, next Friday, I have a left seat, right seat with my with the commander that I'm taking over for, and I will be getting you more emails and more phone numbers next Friday, and more dates. So when you can think about coming down or coming up to Murfreesboro. To talk to our district, because I think it would be very beneficial to both of you.
Yes.
Awesome.
Excellent. And also, Brian, I just want to say that you should have a podcast because your voice is super soothing and it's very good to listen to.
It's better than mine. Fleek has a good voice, but no, mine sucks. I hate my voice.
You have a great voice. And obviously,
no.
He's talking about me. He's not talking about you.
Oh, he's not talking about me. I thought he was talking to me.
So Brian should be
right here.
Brian should be on the radio, and Danielle should be on TV because she's the looker and you have the voice.
Well, and yeah, you know,
Scott, it was a compliment. Okay, just chill.
Yeah, calm down. I've been married for 32 years. It's all good.
I have a face. So the thing, I have a face for radio, and I always say that. And my wife reminds me on a regular basis, I'm nowhere near as funny as I think I am. So
I think you're hilarious, man. And Danielle, you're turning red right now, by the way.
Yeah, I think. All right. So, but Danielle, you never did answer. Is Devoted to a Soldier coming back?
It is not coming back as of today.
That's it. Don't put her on the spot, man. Come on, now. She could have
said, "Hey, more to come." I don't know.
Well, she said as of today.
She's always got something going on up there, and those beautiful locks of hers. There's something going on in that head of hers. I just don't know what.
We'll find out. To be announced.
But Danielle, love you guys. Brian, love you too. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome to being a comrade, and I'm sure you're going to have a very good time in Texas. They are a great department, and a lot of people. I mean, there's like 62,000. They're the big. I just found out. I was wrong when I told you this. Texas is now the biggest department in the VFW. Mitch told me that they have surpassed California, and they have definitely surpassed Pennsylvania. So Texas is now the biggest department in the VFW.
Makes sense because they're a large state.
Well,
yeah, they got like 26 districts. It's crazy.
Yeah, my local post is number uno.
They're number one?
Oh, yeah.
Are you serious?
Yep, they are.
Good for you.
Wow. This is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
That is pretty cool.
I'm surprised California even lets VFWs in their state.
Easy. They do.
Oh,
hey, I know that department commander. He's nice. But we'll meet Brian, if you come with me in July, you'll meet all the commanders of every single state, even Europe, Pan Pacific. I mean, you'll meet all of them. They all sit together, and I will make the rounds with you because I know most of them. So this is going to be awesome.
Sounds awesome.
All right.
Love you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in.
Thank you.
Yes,
thank you for having us on.
Stick around for a second. Peace out, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.